Swiss boy is sticking with his Loki, Patroclus is sticking with the Isis with more style, also sticking to Oranos. Whereas for Lats we have Ayach as Oranos. He was some kind of Norse last game around. Then, of course, we have Raisin as Set, and the last one, Kilyuda, is Loki. So that's quite a lot of difference, or quite a lot of difference. Actually, we have pretty much the similar teams, and I would be favoring Raisin as Set, because Tundra is a very high hunt map, which means that he will be able to convert quite a lot of animals, and it should be helping him quite nicely with the early scouting and any kind of aggression that Lats might be putting on their opponents with the other Loki and Oranos. The first to have a look at is the pocket for Absolats, who is Kill You Die. So right now going for the hunt on the right side together with something interesting on the left, and not much. Just we see that the vision is being cast by Raisin just between him and Swiss Boy, just on the basically very nicely positioned on the doorstep of his opponent, Swiss Boy, trying to see where all the hunt is, and all the TCs, well, he knows because he has Oranos in his team, so not because of that, but he right now knows there's a lot of Aurochs in here. And that could be potentially a pretty good spot for him to raid and even his allies. And it's kind of interesting position for a Swiss boy because he's having the early hand in here. So he won't have to actually move somewhere for quite some time, and it might make it easier for his Loki to actually defend right at this spot. He could be just making some kind of temple about here, trying to finish with the wall. This could actually be a pretty good wall for him, protecting this hunt, and really could be making, or rather doing wonders for him in the early stage of the game. So let's look around the base of Kiludai a bit more carefully with, oh well, Village called Get Raid, nice one. It will probably go for the again in his team on this set in here. Whereas there's another relic at the very back. That's cheaper myth units, not really anything game changing, but potentially in the heroic age it could be useful for somebody who is going to go for some kind of mythical units. Switching into Raisin, who is playing as flank on the right side, he's also finishing, or rather finishing, continuing with the hunt at the very early stage of the game. Otherwise, he's also been scouted by Swiss boys, so they are basically just exchanging the viewpoints from the vision at the very early start. And well, he's also having some Aurochs at the very back, but so far he hasn't discovered any kind of gold, just this one between him and his ally Kill You Die. And this could be pretty much safe. If he places a wall about here, or just straight up from here to the wall, he will be pretty much safe and doesn't need to worry about the gold mines that are in the forefront. But he could be interested in the food here, even though probably not all that much, as looking how he's set on Eggy overall. So let's switch to the other guy that is on the left, and that's Ayach. He's already gathering the golds, continuing with the Aurochs in here. He will be switching into this one, and it's kind of interesting that he isn't actually switching into the forefront, where he should probably be aiming a bit more, as he will be under some kind of radiant pressure very soon, and as long as you can finish with some, or rather continue with some food that is safe, which those guys definitely were, well, he wouldn't be having any kind of problems. So it's kind of questionable choice and might cost him some kind of food gathering time in the near future. Otherwise, Patroclus, as his opponent, is just having a bit of a scouting time with his obelisks, trying to see as much as he can, which is obviously quite obviously needed play for him as an ISIS, and otherwise not much interesting going on in his base, just the standard with the hunt and some extra relics next to the gold together with hunt, which is for favor Trico. Well, could have been better. Definitely would have liked the gold relic, but cheaper armory research costs, that's definitely something, and could be helping in the late game if we get there. Better Ram, Helipoli and whatnot crash attack is also pretty sweet, especially considering the ISIS and siege tower spam and whatnot. So it's going to be useful. With more style, almost expecting yet another attack on his person. Trying to build as many defensive buildings around his TC as possible to prevent any kind of shenanigans like that. Advancing into the next age and also having an oracle right in his base. I'm not exactly sure if that's the best of ideas, but he probably expecting that he's going to be attacked yet again. But I wouldn't be expecting that to be the case. I would be expecting the attack more possibly on Swiss Boy on the right side, who is right now finishing with his temple and going to be going for second. And yeah, falsity is going to be clicked just now. So that's an advanced 5 minutes, which is not exactly fast. It's actually kind of slowish. It's going to be even later than the set. from Raisin, who is already going in with a bit of a scouting. And yeah, this is a pretty nice one. If he can steal this Orok before these guys are interested in it, which should be happening looking at the rate and the amount of food on it, that will be a pretty nice steal and a bit of a problem for Swiss Boy, who will be forced to switch somewhere where he did not want to. Yeah, Raisin already killing some of those hunt here, as he will be probably moving in there as the next stage of his hunt. Whereas the advances here are going to be 77% force for red, with other guys just now clicking in, with Ayach being finished and building counter barracks right inside his base. So he will be the one interested in some kind of raiding, probably not in this relic all that much. And here we see the shifting sands, and yep, that's 2 villages, which is kinda lucky, because it's not all that much, but it's of course going to count, and he can actually maybe run away with this one villager. Well, if he can, then that's definitely not well played by Raisin, I have to say. And if he can survive with this villager, that's going to be actually a pretty big bonus for Swiss Boy. And I would have to say, a bit of a wasted god power for his opponent. And well, quite nicely played. Nicely defended by Swiss Boy. So yeah, not really all that successful Ptach. Shifting sense right here, but looking at the army from Raisin, who is having a pretty decent amount of animals together with those 2 priests and the pharaoh, they could still be doing quite some decent trading. And let's see where they will be moving with. They will be moving with their attack. The foot is going to be on the right side. And unfortunately for Raisin, because he has actually given up or rather killed all of them, he won't know when his opponent is actually gathering there, so that's a bit of a problem for him. So once you kill them, you actually won't see when they are dead. Yeah, they won't really tell you when you should be raiding exactly at that spot. Now this house is going to be killed, which is probably meaning that he might be even housed, as he's having just 3 houses, so that's probably not going to be enough. But looking at how it is, this Thor, or not Thor, Troll is actually dead right now, it's not going to matter all that much, just with finishing the house about now. There's also going to be a bit of a raid in by Ayach into the middle. It seems like that he's not really going to, or exactly as I'm going to say that, he's switching to the left and will be trying to raid his opponent Patroclus, who is trying to wall himself in and going for pretty much the standard as an ISIS, and will be advancing into the next age sometime soon. Well, he's going for something that Fox was playing a bit earlier in the Dot versus a GDM game. So that's a 2TC boom, but he should really be fast enough, or rather faster, because more styles right now being attacked by Kill You Die, and I'm kinda thinking that he might be joined by the yellow player pretty soon, and even maybe by all the army from the teal player. Oh, that's exactly the right spot right now. So yep, they definitely know where to go with the Radiant here, and Morstyle is yet again going to be having a bit of a tough game, as he will be facing quite a lot of downtime in his economy. And yeah, even though he can kill those animals with the villagers, it's still villagers not doing anything, and if his allies, and if allies of Raisin like Kiliudai can actually join in the battle, this could be pretty problematic for Morstyle, who is losing 1 villager just about now. And no, don't go full in. You need to get behind them to actually stop them. Well, unfortunately for them, that did not happen, but fortunately for Morstyle, he will be able to live another day and hopefully make something happen, especially with the army that he's having right now. But looking how he's kinda alone in it, but not anymore, with this boy doing a pretty good job with Raiden. Very nicely positioned Spy is giving up the position of Raisin's food willies, and he's going to lose 2 of them. I'm kinda thinking that's going to be 1 more, but with some better micro, like running in front of them exactly like that, he could be able to stop even more of them. Yeah, so that's 2 villies extra dead, and pretty good job by this boy in the Raiden, and 4 villagers down for his opponent Raisin, so pretty nicely played. Bit of an army from Rostyle are right now taking refuge under the TC of their allies Patroclus, who is safely at 2 TCs and doing a pretty good job with this economy so far, but he needs to be careful so that he helps his allies fast enough, as yet again they are facing a bit of a problems, but looking at the amount of priests together with the Sphinx, they should be more than enough to stop any kind of attack from their opponents. So it seems like that we are entering some kind of middle game, or rather post-early game, where we will be seeing a bit of a raiding by Kill You Die, who and find some kind of villies, and he will be fighting those. Oh, he seems to be aiming exactly there. Yeah, that's a pretty good guess. And even though he was moving here for the hunters, he might be turning into the right if he notices that these guys are just about killing some of those deer there, or rather caribous. So they actually haven't noticed, so that's a bit of a luck for Swiss Boy. But on the left, you also have to see how Ayak is doing a pretty good job with the raiding and trying to make life difficult for his opponent, but Morstyle is playing quite well and helping him because, well, his allies helped him a bit before, so right now he is returning the favor. Now this is a pretty important spot as Ayak has been able, or rather hasn't been able to finish his 30C just about now, as Morstyle was at the right place. And looking also at the blue army in the middle here, that's going to be a bit of an interesting fight with those two Valkyries, and not even those Hersiers could be enough for Kiludai to stop this kind of attack. So is he going to find something interesting? Well, he definitely could, those dwarvies at the bottom. And looking at actually the armor smith, is Raizen advancing into the next age? So far he isn't, but he's probably aiming there, as he's right now having the army having any kind of armory upgrade, so he's not thinking about that so far. And yet this would definitely, or rather should definitely signal that he's advancing into the next age sometime soon. And yep, this is going to be yet another pretty good raid-in. Unfortunately for him, Kiludai has been able to amass quite a lot of army in the meantime, and it will mean that even though he has forced those villages or the dwarfies off the gold, it's not going to be a long lasting, and at least he knows where they are, so potentially he can return there or tell his ally Morstyle to go have some fun with the Turmas. Patroclus is the first one to advance into the next age, so that's a bit of a help here, and if he can build a Migdol right around here, he will be gathering, or rather covering this hunting spot for him, and especially what is more important, the root inside his base. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. But he should also be taking care of the gold. On the left, he is not going to be scouted all that much. Not exactly sure if I has noticed. But he really needs to be careful. He needs to put the Migdol here as soon as possible. Because if he doesn't have any kind of gold. And I would really think there's something hidden in the darkness, but I should scout it first, because right now it looks like that there's absolutely nothing for him, which would be a bit of a problem for Renegi, quite obviously. So Ayak together with Kiludai are having a bit of a fun against Patroclus with Morstyle, which is definitely not going to last long enough, but they have at least been able to kill pretty strong Scorpion man, which definitely does count, as they will be right now basically free to raid as they please. In the middle, there's also a bit of a fight, it seems like more of a pursuit by Kiludai after Swissboy's army, and looking also at Swissboy how he's working on walling himself in, he's definitely thinking about the late game and hoping that he can survive long enough and do something substantial with his army. He's right now at 2 DCs, he has finished with them, so he's going for a bit of an echo at this point, with Kiludai building yet, or rather, second and third TCs at the same time, and even though Morstyle is knowing thanks to this very nicely played Oracle, it's probably not going to be disrupted, because Purple is having all the fun in the middle against Ayak. But he needs to be careful quite assuredly, which he is, and that's a pretty good communication with Patroclus. Oh, well, scratch that, as Patroclus unfortunately ran right inside, losing Chariot Archers just to the country units Turmas, which is obviously not a good idea, but, well, it was some kind of idea, and it almost worked for the Frosts, but unfortunately not enough. We have also seen that Kiludai is through with flaming weapons, having a bit of fun with the villagers in here, but also encountering, he's also helped by Raizen, and this seems to be a pretty strong army, and even though he doesn't have pop limit in here, if he opted for flaming weapons together with the support from Raizen, I kinda think he could take a TC down very easily. And look at how he's low-key. He could be actually getting some pretty sweet spawns from the mythical units, yeah. Right, he's getting Valkyrie, probably hoped for a boar, but unfortunately for him that did not happen. That did not happen just yet, and oh, this is interesting. Swissboy taking a front TC, which is his, but it's also kinda in the open, and you would be thinking that looking at the map control and overall map, it would be basically Raizen's up for the taking and control overall, but it's not, and very well played by the purple player, or rather by the blue player, and he might be just taking it for himself. As we were talking about the TC at the bottom, we see that Morstyle has actually made his way through exactly to that and has been able to stop it, but that's just a minor delay, not really all that much successful, or rather impactful for the later game, but still it did count, and it did stall his opponent and force him to actually retreat, or rather use a bit of an army that was bound for the opponent's base and go back home to build the TC. So yeah, that also counts, all these little things. We see that Ayak is going to be killing a few of the villagers as he's arriving at pretty much the sweet spot, and he will be killing some of the villies from Patroclus. Okay, so that's a pretty nice raid in. We also are kinda on the minimap following these red dots that are just waiting for the right moment and basically waiting for the right situation and right moment, right placement where they could be killing some kind of army, but or rather villages, but they will be encountering the army from blue very soon as he's probably aware of what's going to happen here. This one hero, what is he called? Runolf Vivernrime is just finished his DC, which is going to be a bit of a surprise for Raisin, as probably he didn't expect that, and without any kind of siege, he might be having a bit of a problem taking it back, but looking how he's just now through Neftis and building a Migdol here, it's just going to be a question of time before he is finished. On the left we see a bit of a big push by Patroclus, or rather, big push by Patroclus. Yeah, actually, yeah. I was kind of thinking that it might be an attack onto green, but it's not. It's actually attack by green into the forward base of Ayach, and he's probably going to lose the TC because he doesn't have the correct units. And if he uses... Yeah, he needs to get some extra priests in here to get rid of the birdie, because the birdie is so far doing a pretty good job eliminating any kind of army. And not even with those mercenaries here, it might not be enough to actually get rid of this army, or rather get rid of this forward base altogether. It seems like that Ayach is doing a pretty good job, but, well, at the same time we have to take a look at this raiding army that is doing a pretty good job, so it's kinda double on Ayach, and he definitely needs the help that is coming his way from his red teammate. Just in here, that's going to be in the battlefield pretty soon, and, well, even though this is a pretty strong push on the forward base, it's not going to be successful, because mercenaries are going to die in just a matter of moments, and with the extra help arriving at exactly the right time, the DC will stay, and this attack might actually turn exactly in the opposite direction, and Patroclus might be finding himself in a pretty tight spot very soon. There's also a bit of a raid in here, as Kiludai is somehow trying to basically connect his armies into one spot, but he's also biting quite a lot of army from Swiss Boy, who is not having any kind of extra defense next to the TC, and even though it might be having quite nice push with the extra fire from itself, those elites are going to be exactly enough. Yeah, if he can actually get some extra population limit, well, with one extra elephant it might not be enough, and he might actually want to build something extra in here, because, yeah, but he doesn't have any free TC, just the one in the middle that could potentially help him. So potentially Swiss Boy could be poised to defend in that kind of attack from Raisin at the left, or rather at the right, sorry. But, well, from the left it seems like a pretty strong attack from Absolat is coming Patroclus' way, and even though Morstyle is trying to help him, he's still at just 2 TCs. Swiss Boy is calling flaming weapons on the right, as he recognizes that he needs to kill the army from his opponent before his TC is killed. So this is a pretty nice one, getting some lucky spawns in here, which are definitely going to help, but is that going to be enough? Well, he definitely needs to take down the Migdol right about now, because if he doesn't, he will be in a lot of trouble. But looking how he's having 41 seconds of flaming weapons just left, is probably going to take going down without all that much of a problem, but still at some heavy losses due to the mercenaries from the TC that is very close by. 30C trying to be taken by Morstyle, which will probably succeed. But we also see that actually, somehow, TC has been taken down, and actually it's not that much of a surprise, because it was Patroclus TC, because, well, the army from... Well, that's actually even Raisin in here. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. I would be expecting him fully concentrated on the right side, which is probably why he wasn't doing all that well against the army of his opponent, and he has already lost the Migdol, and that also means he has lost the gold. He still, though, has quite a lot of gold at the back. Yeah, doesn't have really any kind of problem with gold gathering. So, not much going on in here as far as map control is happening here, and looking how he's able to pump out enough mercenaries from exactly this TC, it might be just enough to stall his opponent and help on the left side if he needs to. He's basically just playing a stalling game, I would be saying, or rather thinking, as Ayach together with Kiludai are pretty strong and seem to be basically doing whatever they want with their opponents, well, and Ayach with all those birdies in here is just decimating any kind of attempt at army for more style, and without priests that would be helping with that. Yep, that's pretty much it for this army from the purple player. Green is switching into elephants as well, basically the same as Raisin, which seems to be pretty much the correct army against all those Arkai and Turmas, but it might not be enough, as those birdies are doing their job quite nicely, and those boars are also pretty strong, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job. But right now, And they definitely need to change the venue as they are fighting against Priest, which is not ideal. And it's stopping the attack in its tracks, it seems. Or stopping, at least delaying, which is some kind of success, because you can see that Patroclus has been able to kill, or rather build yet another Migdol, which is going to help him with summoning as many War Elephants as he can. But unfortunately for Frost it's not enough, because Morstyle has been, or rather has found himself under pretty heavy attack from Kiryuda in the middle, and he would lose the TC even without the resign, so yep, that was it. And you can see that Kiryuda with his pretty strong 3 TC army is heading into the green's base from the right side, and together with yellow they should be more than strong enough. Nidhogg being called to actually get rid of all those villagers. Well, they are kind of fighting themselves in a pretty tight spot. not even not even retreating anywhere. And well, Kiryuda is going for flaming weapon, so this is going to be just a pretty slaughter. On the right side, Swissboy is doing a pretty good job defending against his pretty strong opponent Raisin. And even though Raisin is right now concentrating fully on the right battlefield, it's really going quite slowly for him, and Swissboy is doing quite well in his battles. But with the Ancestors it's going to be pretty much it, and that will be exactly what is going to push the battle over the brink here. So Swissboy losing a TC, which would be reclaimed by Raisin in just a matter of moments, and you won't even see that as the battle is decided about now. Well, that was quite interesting. Very good attempt, especially by Morstyle on Drayden and by Swissboy as well, so it wasn't really half bad from Frost, and they definitely did have a lot more chance of doing something with the game than the last one around. Well, quite nicely played, but the champions from Absolats were simply playing better. They really controlled the game and map overall without really letting anything surprise them all that much. Well, nicely played then, so let's have a look at the post game. With Ayak being the MVP. Well, yeah, why not? He was playing pretty well. He was seen the most around the map, so yeah. I would kind of thinking that he was close by, followed by Kiryuda, which is reflected in the score as well, and yeah, kind of reflecting how the game went. Nice economy, of course, as an Ati. And Raisin having pretty nice military count, and very nice units killed for Ayach. Well, quite nicely played, GG.